Folks, the things I'm going to talk about today will most likely get me relabeled as a white supremacist or a white nationalist. Let me just say this has nothing to do with being pro-white, pro-black, or pro any other color under the sun. This isn't even necessarily about the trans community. This is about one specific person who targeted white Christians and how our society has molded people like this into doing the horrific things they end up doing. This is also about how your government, in coordination with the establishment propaganda media, hates you by selectively reporting what is most expedient to their narratives and censoring what they don't want you to know. This is simply how the society we let people who hate humanity build right under our noses. I'm Nick Kangadis for MRC-TV. This is Things That Need to Be Said. If you're not watching this on Rumble, head on over there where this won't be censored and hit the like button. So, kudos to the undercover journalists at Steven Crowder's Mug Club for obtaining something that a lot of us have been calling for a while now. The Nashville Shooter's Manifesto.
First look at part of the handwritten manifesto of the Nashville shooter.
There have been lawsuits, there have been cover-ups, and there's been a ton of excuses by people who are employed solely based on the tax dollars we provide for them to exist in the first place. Now, to be fair to authorities, who would never give any of us the same grace, a parent of one of the victims filed a lawsuit to prevent the manifesto from ever seeing the light of day because they claimed
those who are calling for the release of these records clearly care nothing about the well-being of their fellow humans and seek to rob the 6 murder victims of dignity in their deaths by demanding the release of sensitive details.
With all due respect to this mother, and I truly mean that, how does the release of the manifesto rob any of the victims of their dignity? I don't remember seeing anyone complaining about the details of a shooter's motivation when the shooter has had a motive that goes along with the media and politicians' narratives and agendas.
The Buffalo mass murderer put out a lengthy manifesto in which he talked about the great replacement theory.
When I heard the details of what happened in Jacksonville, and I've talked to some of the leaders and ministers in the area, it reminded me almost to the T of what happened in Buffalo. Hate, a manifesto, and weapons.
Well, replacement theory was cited in the manifesto of the mass shooter who murdered 10 people at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York last year.
There was an 18-year-old who murdered black people in Buffalo and had a manifesto where he talked about critical race theory.
Almost a year ago, the Buffalo massacre left 10 people dead. That shooter left behind a manifesto with white supremacy rhetoric.
The only person that is robbed of any kind of dignity, which they don't deserve at all for any reason, by releasing the manifesto, is the shooter. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. What did portions of the manifesto that were made available say? I'll let Crowder read it. And folks, viewer and listener discretion is advised since the insane ramblings of the shooter are graphic.
Dark Abyss, Death Day, March 27th, 2023. Today is the day, yes. The day has finally come. I can't believe it's here. Don't know how I was able to get this far, but here I am. I'm a little nervous, but excited too. Been excited for these past 2 weeks. There were several times I could have been caught, especially back in the summer of 2021. None of that matters now. I'm almost an hour plus 7 minutes away. Can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm ready. I hope my victims aren't. My only fear is if anything goes wrong, I'll do my best to prevent any of the sort. God, let my wrath take over my anxiety. It might be 10 minutes tops. It might be 3 to 7. It's gonna go quick. I hope I have a high death count. Ready to die, haha, signed, Aiden. Next page, Audrey. Kill those kids, 3 exclamation points. Those crackers going to private fancy schools with those fancy khakis and sports backpacks with their M daddies, Mustangs, and convertibles. F you little shits. I wish to shoot you weak-ass dicks with your mop yellow hair. Wanna kill all you little crackers. Again, bunch of little faggots with your white privileges. F you faggots.
Forget for a second that the shooter was trans and mentally ill. Why does a white kid have such hatred for white people? Can we blame the schools? Can we blame social media? Can we blame the activists? Can we blame politicians? Can we blame the media? And can we blame the experts that write books blaming white people for all the world's ills? The short answer to all of those questions is yes. The left and their Marxist tools teaching in the public school system constantly make these kids feel one of two ways, as either an oppressor or someone who's oppressed. And they teach these kids these things as if being either is out of their control. The schools, from preschools all the way through law schools, have taught students how to be professional victims or how they're oppressors because of identifiers that are out of their hands.
And I describe universities as the Wuhan lab of the woke virus. Universities are where it started, where it was created, where it mutated, and where it spread. And sadly, Harvard University, where I went to law school, is ground zero for this. And it started back in the 60s and 70s with just plain Jane vanilla Marxists, people who adhered to Karl Marx. As you know well, Marx viewed the world as economically determined, with an inevitable struggle between the oppressors and the victims. And for him, it was a socioeconomic frame. So the oppressors were the owners of capital, the victims were the proletariat, the workers. And the solution was a violent overthrow by the proletariat to forcibly seize the means of production from the owners of capital and to use government to redistribute it to the victims instead. And what happened, that was initially economic, but at the universities, it then shifted into cultural arenas, and they applied the same lens to race, and we got critical race theory. Same idea, the Marxist battle between oppressors and victims, this time based on race. They believe America's irredeemably racist, and the answer is to use government force and violence to take from the oppressors and give to the victims. They also use the same frame on gender and gender ideology and the extremes they've embraced there.
Social media can be poison. Trust me. I'm on social media all day and night because of what I do. It's technological cancer. I am inundated on a daily basis with the most hateful shit you ever want to see. I don't suggest it for anyone who doesn't have a job that has anything to do with social media. There's so much anti-white BS and a fair amount of racism towards other races as well. But that form of racism is nothing compared to the amount of hate that white people and Christians get online. Activists, typically on the left, are idiots, no matter what their cause is. I've covered dozens and dozens of protests over the years, and a vast amount of these people have no idea what they're talking about. Whether their topic du jour is women's rights, LGBTQ BS, climate change, gun control, anti-Americanism, or how a certain group of non-Christian white people are oppressed, the answers you get from these people are so dumb that it makes you question your own positions on said topics. Politicians, if you remember, literally bend the knee while wearing cultural appropriating garb, all to convey how evil whitey is.
It's better not to have on high heels.
And let's not forget what race of people are constantly vilified by President Joe Biden's regime.
And we won't ignore what our intelligence agencies have determined to be the most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today. White supremacy is terrorism. The most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy. According to the United States intelligence community, domestic terrorism from white supremacists is the most lethal terrorist threat in the homeland.
According to our federal government, white ain't right in any situation. If you're white or simply a concerned parent, you're a terrorist. The media just does the bidding of the politicians and race hustlers with Marxist tendencies. Hell, they still hold the water of one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in American history, Black Lives Matter. And you don't even have to say white lives matter. If you simply say that all lives matter, you're a racist bigot who should be doxxed, fired from your job, and ostracized from society. Plus, take into account the actual racists that get millions of dollars and a platform on what are billed as news outlets like MSNBC and CNN. You have people like Joy Reid, Al Sharpton, and Sonny Hostin, who, if they're not overt racists, are at least paid to seem that way.
To do the brown scare, to say that Democrats just want to add more brown people because they know if they become citizens, they'll vote for Democrats. Like all of the things that they use to gin up their base of mainly white Americans white working class Americans who, fear that their jobs are all going to be taken by these people. They're doing what they normally do.
Honey, there's 42% of this country that support the wall. Are they all racist?
That's a good question.
I'm asking you that. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think there are a lot of people that believe in security.
I don't know. Is Donald Trump racist?
Duh.
And the experts? The experts. Professors, former athletes, celebrities, and the like publish books that are written for no other reason than to literally make white people uncomfortable. Listen to these book titles and tell me the left, whether they're white, black, or otherwise, aren't the true racists, even though we're constantly told that you can't be racist towards white people. Things that make white people uncomfortable. Surrender white people are unconditional terms for peace. Good white people, the problem with middle-class white anti-racism. Dear White People, a guide to interracial harmony in post-racial America. And of course, everyone's favorite, White Fragility, why it's so hard for white people to talk about racism. You don't have to wonder how this Nashville shooter, who was already mentally ill without taking the trans aspect of the story into account, came to believe and have such hatred of white people that she decided to kill 3 adults and 3 9-year-olds. Our society, or at least the portion of it that has brainwashed how many people think in this country and around the world, is responsible for shootings like these. And that's why they didn't and still don't want this manifesto to see the light of day. It exposes them for their radicalization of a good swath of the youth today. Remember, if it bleeds, it leads. Unless the clear intended target goes against the pre-approved establishment narrative. And you don't have to like it. It's simply the truth. So, were these things that needed to be said? Who has blood on their hands in this situation? Let me know in the comments, where I do read most and reply to some. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel on Rumble and hit that like button. If you liked this video, don't forget to share, comment, and give it a thumbs up. Those are the best ways to help these videos reach more people, and it's the best way to let us know you want us to keep these videos coming. Subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so that YouTube might actually let you know when MRC-TV comes out with a new video, if they haven't censored it or taken it down yet. Like us on Facebook, check out more of our work at MRCTV.org. And if you want to support our content and the conservative movement, head on over to MRC.org/donate to help us out, since we're a nonprofit and couldn't do what we do without all of you. For MRC TV, I'm Nick Kangadis.